Welcome back to the Spin Cycle Podcast, everybody. I'm Kaylee Fretz. Today on the show, Tadej Pogačar is tired. There's been a punch-up in Portugal, and Kit went to a show. Let's get to it. Welcome to Spin Cycle. Reclined Johnny Long.
I'm doing what the pros say you do. I'm just trying to be professional here. Don't sit when you could lie, or whatever it is.
Yeah, between Grand Tours. That's where to be.
Well, and we just heard Kit Nicholson. Welcome.
Oh, hello. I was also in the intro, so, they know.
You were. You get double intro today. Where should we kick off today's show? We had a bit of racing over the weekend. We had Leadville over the weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we also had some sort of like Tadej Pogačar event of some sort. And
it was described as his criterium in Slovenia.
His criterium. Did he get to win? Did they let him win his criterium?
He did get to win, yeah. He was delighted to win his own criterium in front of his fans, yeah.
Was he more or less delighted to win that than the Tour de France, compared to the Tour de France?
Johnny?
I would say it's just good to see him happy again, maybe, if only fleetingly, as he once again descends back into the ennui, is it pronounced? That has become the lifestyle of one of the best cyclists of all time and multi-millionaire.
Do you know what I noticed from these criteriums, these post-Tour de France criteriums? They all turn up. I mean, even Ben Healy turned up in the yellow jersey to race one and then celebrate twice. That's a story from a few weeks ago. You need to refresh your memory of.
Yeah.
But Tadej Pogačar decided not to race in the yellow jersey. He decided the world champs bands and the white skin suit was his. Which that's probably fair enough, but it was interesting that was deemed the more, especially in the context of these quotes to come.
So what you're saying is that Ben Healy's the true yellow jersey?
Well, I was more saying that it's a sign of Pogačar's ennui about the Tour.
Yes.
And he'd much rather move on from that and, I'm the world champion again.
Is it, am I allowed to have ennui about Pogačar's ennui? This is, I think we're going to fill our complete ennui quota for the year now. The head office is going to be so proud of us. Yes, well, okay, so we've talked already at length about how Pogačar said how he was tired and bored of the Tour, and then also how we talked last week about how this was because apparently the orders had come down. This was via our man on the inside, Michael Storer, that team orders to get the French fans to not boo him were like, let someone else win. We now, Pogačar seems to not enjoy things, but he did media at his own criterium, where presumably he gets to decide what happens. But he did some media, maybe to get it promoted. I'm being a bit facetious, but he elaborated on those comments of boredom and tiredness. He said, "I started winning early, and everything has been going well since then. Every year we train harder and harder, so I'm really looking forward to my future off the bike. It might seem funny to most people that I'm already counting down to retirement, but a top-level sports career doesn't last very long. I only have a few more years to enjoy the level I'm at now." Which is probably good for him to realise that no one stays at the top forever, because that is certainly true. Daniel Free pointed out that Boonen spoke in 2005 about retiring in a few years, and then finally did retire, I think, in 2017. So a few is a handy numerical concept that can mean literally anything.
Yep.
But I'm not surprised that the guy who's won nearly everything already and has more money than he needs is like, yeah, I'm looking forward to just, hanging out, maybe getting a giant train set or getting into like woodworking. Yeah. I'm not surprised he's looking forward to that, to be honest.
It's also hard to compare to someone like, Boonen won a lot. And I was thinking, Mark Cavendish had an extraordinarily long career with a lot of ups and downs, obviously, but they're very different kinds of riders. I think the only Grand Tour riders who won in the space of 10 years, there was a war between them, or there was other stuff going on. They were like they would leave and come back and all that sort of thing. So the war going on. I'm talking about Bartali and Coppi, who spanned World War II with their Grand Tour wins. But yeah, so it's a it's no wonder really. And I was looking at some stats at the weekend about UAE themselves, because who won at the weekend?
Brandon McNulty.
Yes, Brandon McNulty's first win of the season. and him adding his name to the wins at UAE means that they've already reached the 20 riders winning stat, which they achieved in October last year. So they've already beat their own record, and they're also 9 away from beating their 2024 record. 9 wins,
ridiculous.
but full stop. So it is crazy how. I mean, obviously that's not all Pogačar, but it seems particularly intense over there.
I have a theory.
Yeah, go on.
Do I need to put my... No, it's
You
not a
need to put your hat
conspiracy
on.
theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. So no conspiracy theory hat needed. No, my theory is that... I think this kind of happened with Bonin, which is... he talked quite early about potentially retiring quite early because he was very successful early on in his career. And I don't know if it felt too easy, but I think like there were a couple years there where he was winning a lot. As he got through his career, and other riders kind of caught up to him in many ways, and the like big battle with Cancellara really took off. I think he found the joy in it again, and I wonder whether that will happen with Pogačar at some point. Like actually, if he sort of comes over his peak and starts getting a bit slower again, and it gets harder again.
Meets Vingegaard back on the way down.
Does that make it then more fun and more motivating for him to keep going? Or does it do the opposite? I think it could go either direction, right? Like he could be sort of get to 30 years old and start coming down the backside of his peak, either like mentally, physically, all of the above.
He did say towards the end of the tour that he I can't remember the wording exactly without sounding, and he didn't come across too disparaging, but he much prefers to have a bit of competition.
Yeah. No, that like
which is completely understandable.
I just think he was bored
it's
out
part
of
of the
his mind
game,
all
right?
July.
Yeah.
Yeah, which winning is fun, but I think
not having to try too hard.
Not having to try that hard is less fun.
Well, but then again, he did say that it was the hardest tour that he's ever done.
Oh, they just say that every time, though.
Yes, that's why I raised my eyebrows, which of course our listeners can't see.
I don't know if you noticed this, but Vingegaard described at least 2 stages of this Tour de France as like the hardest stage he'd ever done, which I don't think it can't be.
Vingegaard was having too much fun somehow. The whole team seemed to be having a lot of fun, which I think I respect. I think they came in knowing that they had a hard task on their hands. They seemed much more jovial than usual.
Is Tour de France fun at like a zero-sum game? Like there's only so much fun to go around. And
Vingegaard was just training for the Vuelta.
Exactly. So if Visma Lease Bike is starting to have fun, that means by default somebody else has to have no fun, right? Because they weren't having fun 2 years ago, 3 years ago. No fun at all on that
Stick
team.
up their butts.
Yeah. So if they're having fun now, that they've stolen UAE's fun.
Does UAE ever have fun? Pogačar has fun.
Pogačar
had they have fun music on their bus a lot of the time, and there are fun characters
Ayuso
in
doesn't
that
have
team.
fun.
Well, he was having fun the other week, it seemed like, at the race with Del Toro. I can't even remember what race that was now. There are so many mini races at this time of the year. They all fade into one.
Can I take us on a little tangent?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's August,
still UAE
kid.
related.
What?
Yeah, it's so I sent this to Johnny earlier because I thought it was, I don't know, it was somewhat entertaining besides anything else. There are several things that came to mind, but basically UAE has signed one of their own development riders on a 5-year contract. He's 19. He's Spanish. And so one thing, poor Ayuso, or potentially lucky Ayuso, because UAE are signing another Spaniard and he's going to be further out the door. He's going to be talking with Movistar again. Or it's just terrible news for him and he's going into obscurity. But also, it just made me think how irrelevant contracts seem these days. Because a 5-year contract at 19 is a big, I don't know. And we know how easily they're broken. It was a sort of news that made me barely flinch, except to chuckle at myself about Ayuso, which seems unfair because he's a great rider, but he's just the subject of a lot of jokes.
The thing is, they weren't broken for a long time. Like, nobody really broke contracts for a long time, unless something very strange happened and like a real gnarly fallout between a rider and management, which is relatively rare. You didn't have the Remco situation where riders getting bought out of contracts and transferring like we were a real sport, right? Like, it just never happened. And part of that was because if you go back even kind of 5-6 years, the vast majority of contracts, almost all, even amongst the top riders, were 1 or 2 years. They're really short, maybe 3. And I think it was it Froome that had like that 5-year one when he came back and went over to Israel. Like that was a really unique kind of thing at that point. And it's UAE that's basically stepped in and said, "Well, we don't even have a budget. We just sort of pick up the riders we feel like picking up, and we can apply as long a contract to it as we kind of want to." That's like the only thing that has started to really push that in a very different direction. But it's
for a
fundamentally changed
neo-pro,
the nature of the transfer system.
And it's complete. And I mean, there used to be an entirely separate contract for neo-pros where it was kind of, there was this understanding, and there was it's just, I don't know, this sport's just, the economics of it I can't fathom sometimes. But anyway, that's a massive tangent. It'll be interesting to see if it actually pays off.
I think the worst thing to come out of all this contract stuff so far is the other day on our internal Slack channels, there was a huge discussion comparing like EU labour law to Canadian labour law to American labour law, and I just had to shut my laptop and be like, I'm just going to go do something else for a bit. But that's just the sort of that's August for you in the bike racing world, is that even internally amongst colleagues and friends, we have to find something to talk about, and sometimes that is labour laws. Can I what's the
get
word?
us back on track?
Well, I was going to sashay us over to someone who segue. Thank you. I couldn't remember the actual word. What's sashay?
Let's
sashay is a dance. It's a kind of dance transition.
Yeah.
But you can sashay over into a new topic.
You can.
Thank
we are
you.
not segueing anymore on this podcast. We are now sashaying.
Don't yuck my yum. The one person I can't tell if they're having fun or not at the minute is Remco Evenepoel.
Oh gosh.
Because got the move he wanted with the money, the Dan Bighams, the climbing teammates. On the other hand, ditched his fan gathering meetup thing, attended by 2,000 Remco Evenepoel fans, for an altitude camp in Livigno.
Last minute altitude camp.
A lot. Well, yeah. Well, I think you have to say that anyway. You can't be like, I was thinking about booking my thousands of fans months in advance.
Well, yeah. I think it sounds a bit like the cyclist equivalent of the dog ate my homework. Sorry, I can't turn up. I've got to go train.
Yeah.
Well, because he was originally planning to do better at the Tour de France, and then this would be like a big sort of post-tour celebration thing.
That'd be his Pogačar criterion.
Yeah, exactly. And so then it all got messed up because he didn't do that.
I mean, credit to still host the event, I guess, because people would have bought, very reasonably priced, subsidised train tickets on the mainland. And it was attended by Remco's mum and his dad. And they spoke to the media a bit, and because Remco hasn't spoken since the move, probably because he's just waiting for things to settle down a bit.
Video, and with his lawyers organised with the footballer.
Yes. The Romelu Lukaku one. Yeah, we spoke about that on.
Okay.
Ian was weirdly the first to the Lukaku exclusive, the breaker. Yeah, but yeah, he hasn't given I can't. The Belgian publications must be crawling over his garden fence straight and trying to get into his white clean breakfast room. Yeah, might be why he's gone to Livigno to escape that. But we haven't heard from him yet on what he thinks about the whole situation. Patrick Lefevre did, after saying he couldn't speak, he did come out and speak, but just, smartly spoke about it in his weekend column with Het Nieuwsblad. And he said, while I can't, say anything about the contract or what's gone on, I can give my opinion on it. And Patrick Lefevre's main takeaway was that he wasn't surprised that this has happened. So there you go. That's the world exclusive we'd all been waiting for.
Yeah, my favourite bit of content that's come out of this is from our friend Cosmo, How the Race Was Won, who has now is entered into the world of memes in the past, I don't know, year, two, several. But he one of his latest memes was kind of the age of it was 2 gravestones. Bear with me. And the Remco rumours about Red Bull, and so because those started, Cosmo went digging and found that the first rumours were as early as 2019, which I don't think
No.
can possibly be true because he'd barely signed for Soudal.
No way.
But essentially, the gist of the meme is that Remco rumours outlived GCN Plus.
Oh, brutal.
Lived for longer than to begin with.
Wow.
GCN Plus.
That's like the cabbage in your
Oh,
Minister, Johnny.
Steve.
the PM. What's her name?
Yeah, Liz Truss.
Liz Truss. Yeah.
I got confused there because I was thinking about when someone threw a cabbage at Aston Villa manager Steve Bruce, then he got fired the next day. Cabbages have a weird hold over our people here.
I think it was a lettuce with Liz Truss, but yes, it was
what
what
I will say off the back of that, comparing length of times, is at our burgeoning media startup Escape Collective, let's not count our chickens until we're out of the Remco rumour or GCN Plus range. Yeah. I would caution that.
I think we've already beaten GCN Plus. I found the meme.
We definitely have.
Yeah, it was March 2021, so still pretty early in his Soudal Quickstep tenure, Remco. But yeah, I mean GCN only lasted we might be on the cusp actually. 2.5 years. Really? It was February 21 to December 23. So we're almost there.
It just felt like it lasted a lot longer because I could just watch
because it was great.
Every bike race ever. I just watched Tour of Poland and whatnot.
We don't know how good they are till they're gone, eh?
Yeah. An
outsized impact in that amount of time.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah, you got to give it to them. But yes, that's what's happening with our Star Boys.
That's what's happening with Star Boys. Let's take a quick break before we sashay into a racing roundup. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We've got a bit of a racing roundup for you because, like I said, there was a bit that happened over the weekend. Let's start with the punch-up in Portugal. What's going on in Portugal?
This was on, I believe, the second stage with about 40 kilometres to go. There was a video that's doing the rounds on social media, and you had to watch it. This must have been why I saw it, is because everyone had to watch this video so many times to figure out where the punch occurred. That the algorithm thought the video was so good that everyone was rewatching it. But it was a genius bit of algorithm fodder. And if you look closely at this grab, it's in the Spin Cycle newsletter if you haven't seen it. Right deep in the bunch, you see an arm whip out, and literally like the most punch I've ever seen in a bicycle race. And it was, I want to get this name right, Brady Gilmore, I believe, for the Israel Premier Tech lot. He's an Aussie. He's a youngish guy who has a mustache and a mullet. So, I mean, probably can punch fairly well based on just appearances alone. Like if you look at his Instagram, it's like, yeah, I could see him giving a punch. He punched a rider from the Portuguese Continental outfit, Ferenc Bikila, that team. Punches him once in the face and then shoves him right onto the barriers. Somehow the rider managed to stay up. And then quite confused. And then apparently before that, the Portuguese rider had like tapped him on the helmet. Tapped Brady Gilmore on the helmet, and I don't know what had happened before or during or after, but then the punch then came, and then you see someone else like get a bottle and chuck it in Brady Gilmore's general direction, all within the space of like 5 to 10 seconds. So it's very confusing. Thankfully, no one seemed to be that hurt, including the guy who got punched. Seemed kind of fine, but then we had 4 riders fined like 500 Swiss francs, docked 25 UCI points for physical assault. So this was 2 riders from the Portuguese Continental team, Brady Gilmore, and then another random rider. So it was a very punchy day. And the Volta of Portugal is like 10 or 11 stages long. So it's quite early in the race for feuds to be developing. So yeah, a bit odd.
I mean, we don't like punching in the peloton. I think that's
no,
bad.
Definitely not. Anti-punching podcast for sure.
Yeah, that as an official position of the podcast. No punching.
Yes. I mean, but we don't know what he did we don't know what he did.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Normally the sort of the random Swiss franc fine thing doesn't sound like as much of a big deal, right? Like if you're in the Tour de France, generally your team pays it. And so it's kind of like whatever, and plus all those riders are making a fair amount of money. 500 Swiss francs for a couple guys in the Tour Portugal on like a Portuguese, like 3rd division team could actually be That's quite a lot of money, probably, probably to those guys. I don't know. What Brady's contract situation would look like, or whether Israel Premier Tech would pay that. But a significant ding on them. That said, they weren't disqualified.
No.
How do you
Apparently
punch
not.
somebody and not get disqualified?
Do you even get a yellow card? Is yellow cards only for World Tour events?
No.
This is something I've been grappling with. Is it for
It's
everything?
UCI events, yeah, I think.
Right. So, I mean,
So not even a yellow card.
look, let's call the Volta of Portugal what it is. Okay, there's a lot of things that go on there that aren't necessarily
It's true.
above board. Maybe we should be grateful for a little punch rather than like a whole team being sent home in disgrace, for instance.
I think the way to say that accurately and not defamationally.
Oh yes, I forgot my allegedly.
Defamatory. No, you don't need allegedly. You just need historically that race has seen entire teams removed for like doping offenses, somewhat regularly, and so that's what you were alluding to, is that there's some the Portuguese
some murky
scene
past.
is sort of has been, at least in the past, quite
Yeah.
notorious on that front. And so a bit of extra spice, a little extra sauce going on at the Tour of Portugal, Volta Portugal, I should say.
There was also a wildfire that I think delayed the start of a stage there. So it's literally all going on over in Portugal.
Well, and there's a wildfire in Scotland, so we could do a quick 5 to
wildfire
10
off.
minutes. We could do a wildfire off right now. I've got wildfires. Kit's got wildfires.
Yeah.
Portugal's got wildfires.
I don't. There were
No
wildfires in the south of France as well, weren't there? So
Like big in the old
Everything.
region, I
The
think?
world is on fire.
guys,
Yeah.
I have an inkling that maybe there's something not right
Yeah,
in the
I
world.
wonder.
I feel like
It
maybe
managed
something's
that
going on.
Arthur's Seat managed to catch fire in the rain practically.
Really?
Is
So
it
I don't.
how?
It was gorse.
Has it been
To
very
be honest,
dry?
I think it's been intermittently dry and then very very wet, kind of like any summer anywhere. But well, actually, certainly in Europe. I don't know about deserts, but
Yeah, no, we don't do the second part there.
no. But yeah, I think it's the Edinburgh Fringe right now. It's probably somebody taking one of those portable barbecues that should frankly be thrown into the sun, and somebody's lit it by some gorse that was sheltered on the sheltered side of the hill, and it's gone. And gorse, obviously, the fire probably smelled quite good because gorse smells amazing. But yeah, it was a big conflagration, and the whole park was closed, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
definitely
I
nothing as funny going on in Portugal as the Edinburgh Fringe. Just punching and fast climbing time.
Well, there's
No,
been
no, it
plenty of
doesn't
there's the Oasis is in town, so there's been plenty of punching at the Edinburgh Fringe. You can tell you
How
that much.
have they scheduled Fringe and Oasis?
It's
at the
classic.
Same time? It's
There are
insane.
always big gig. Taylor Swift was here last year at the same time.
No, really. Oh
Mhm.
my god. Anyway, back to racing.
must-
Was there any more wildfire?
No,
Cat.
that was enough
Okay, great.
wildfire way. We must once again, our annual tradition, dig into the salmon at the Arctic race of Norway.
North of
North of
Arctic
Norway.
Way.
North of Norway. The
North
Arctic
Coast.
race of Norway.
So,
Who won the salmon? Who's winning the salmon?
well,
Who wants the salmon?
so this year the salmon there was a vet. I think it's actually a great way to do a prize. Okay, so last year it was for the King of the Mountains competition, and it was I was there with Ian, and the competition was won by Yella. I can't remember his second name. Yella from Tietmeer. Yella. Oh,
Benedict?
that's
Benedict?
annoying. No. He's
That's the
a
only
nice
Yella I
Dutch
know.
boy. Yella.
Willays. No, he's a bit hard.
Yella Johanink. That's it.
Uh-uh.
He's a good lad.
Never heard of him.
Well, you should have,
that's not
because
true.
he won. You won a lot of salmon last year from the KM competition.
I
This
remember
year
that.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was on the website.
Yeah.
And this year, instead of it be the salmon prize being for the whole KM competition, it was just for one climb.
Cool.
But yeah, very cool. But this climb, came at the very start of stage 3, I believe it was. Yes, where from kilometre 0 they headed 2.3 kilometres uphill, average gradient 9.9%.
That's
and
not
whoever
very fair.
went to the top
Oh
first.
God, that sounds chaos. Sounds
Got
like
100
chaos.
kilograms of salmon, and this was won by a 21-year-old Norwegian club rider called Morten Wang Baksas.
Oh,
Nice.
well done.
So great
They-
name, great
there was also
prize,
salmon.
great race.
Yeah, there was also salmon handed out on the podiums at the end of the stage.
Oh,
I
was
saw
there?
Christoph got his 98th stage win on stage 2, I think. And there's a great little video of him on the podium being presented with a big box, and he just picks out one of those, shrink wrapped bags of
Oh,
smoked
really?
salmon, and just goes.
Love it, Christoph.
Yeah.
98. So he needs to.
Yeah,
stick
he's got
around,
two
get
more races. Yeah, he's got a very interesting program. He's going to the
Ah.
Tour of Guangxi, I think, or one of the
Is he?
Chinese races
Oh, I
to
need to
scoop
make
up
sure I'm
some,
there.
scoop up some those last 2 wins.
Oh, that'd be great. So that happened at the Arctic Race of Norway. The Tietemann boys have also been getting themselves into trouble because so at these smaller bike races, their teams don't bring their massive buses, or it's not necessarily smaller bike races, just ones where it would be inconvenient to drive a bus the whole way there. For example, the Tour of Guangxi, the
Yep.
Arctic Race of Norway. Very long distances for these already beleaguered bus drivers. So what happens is the organisation or the town or whatever will set up a bunch of portaloos for the riders who are, cramming their gullets with
Smoked
God
salmon.
knows what. Smoked salmon, yeah, before the stage
Insane
start.
Number of carbohydrates. Yeah.
And caffeine and, whatever. So then there's always a queue of sheepish looking riders waiting outside one portaloo, which even if I was desperate, I would not venture into because I think scenes you can't unsee, let's say. This is fine. You kind of politely just, pretend it's not there. But Tietemann, or the Tietemann Rockets account, took a photo of an Archaea B&B Hotels bike laid up outside of Portaloo and tweeted it saying, "Hurry up at Archaea B&B Hotels." Worse than that, they clearly photographed the Archaea bike with the, what's it called? The thing on the back of the saddle, the race number.
Yeah.
So you could see it was Jens Bermans. You could see it was him taking a really long bathroom break pre-stage and blasted out across the internet. So I want to say that we don't agree with poop shaming. Punching, I would say, is more forgivable given the circumstances than poop shaming. I don't think poop shaming can ever be a forgivable
As somebody
act.
who is about to begin potty training as my second child,
You
I can
agree.
tell you. I can just tell you definitively because I've read up on this in multiple books. Is that everybody poops?
Oh,
Yep,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, everybody. Firemen, teachers,
Yeah.
policemen,
The Pope.
the Pope.
in the woods,
Yeah.
famously.
Yeah, famously.
Everybody
Well,
at
maybe
Archaea.
Jens Bermans will be doing that next time, so he didn't get shamed. But we had a cold dose of karma for the Tietemann boys because a day later, you know how they're carrying around their vlog cameras with the little boom mics on top. Well,
Oh, yeah.
a seagull did a poop on the boom mic on their camera. So the story circle has been completed, and all's well that ends well.
Did we ever talk about those guys signing Dylan Groenewegen?
We didn't. No.
No, well, they did announce it on the same day as Evenepoel, so
They did.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
They were memeing themselves about that though. Like there was a bunch of
yeah.
sort of admin being sad kind of memes that came out from the Tietemann boys on that day. Well, we could briefly talk about that. It's it's
sure.
August.
Yeah.
We will grab onto any story that we could possibly talk about on August 11th here. I think this is fantastic, and I've said this before. I think there are basically two teams that truly understand sort of what they are, like what professional sports are these days, and it's basically EF and Tietemann at this point. And the fact that they can provide just an enormous increase in value for their sponsors, and so therefore get more money by being good media organizations. I think that there are plenty of press officers and things that understand this at other teams. I don't want to disparage the folks that we deal with day to day. That I think if if you elevated any of them to like a GM position, you might have a different setup. But like the general management of most of these teams, not particularly focused on the media angle. And I think this is like another step that kind of proves that point, which is that this relatively small, relatively new team has stepped up to the point where they can afford Dylan Groenewegen, right?
Yeah.
Like they're getting it done. They are making their way in what seems to be a pretty sustainable way through the sport. And
do you think this gets them to the Tour de France before the end of by 2027 though?
I think on the trajectory that they're on,
Maybe.
like next year, they need to have a good year, and they do need to like win some stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can only get so far because their other problem is that like ASO is not going to bring you just for your media presence necessarily. The other decision makers in the sport are not looking at it that way necessarily, and so they do need to like win some stuff, which I think is having a guy who's won on the Champs-Élysées before is probably a good way to start doing that.
Building things around him, which has not happened for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's still going to be difficult for them to do that, but I think it is absolutely possible that they. I see a trajectory for them, like a step-by-step trajectory for them to get there. Whereas a lot of teams that launch, they say we want to be at the Tour in 5 years, and it's like, okay, how? Like, what are you going to do that's in any way different? You don't have more money, you don't have more riders. Like, what are you going to do that's any different? That's going to get you. You're not French. How are you going to do that? Whereas
they are French.
Well, true. That's true. But like,
I mean, also signing Groenewegen makes them probably easier to sign other riders afterwards, right? Because the other riders can be like, wow, if it's all right for Dylan Groenewegen, it's all right for me. Also, if we think of the teams that are able to maybe resurrect Groenewegen's reputation, let's say, and put a bit of a nice look back on him, is maybe the Titema boys,
Yeah, true. Very true.
Which I don't think is necessarily important for him, but maybe that's something that was thought about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to see. I mean, he's got to probably win some stuff, and they go to the sort of races at the moment with their level that probably can get a few more wins. But it's fun. More on the Arctic Race of Norway.
Yes.
Tom Pidcock won a stage, but couldn't quite wrestle the overall lead off of IPT's Corbin Strong, which is a shame.
But Pidcock may now actually be going to the Vuelta, which, speaking of wild cards and pro teams, I think he probably was told, you are jolly well going to the Vuelta, Tom, because I think probably from the Vuelta to his team boss, to Tom, because they got 2 wild cards with him at the centre of the team, didn't they? More or less. So anyway, it's on his program. He's on the long list. Right. But so it's nice. But it's nice to see him. I mean, because he hasn't won since February on the road, and I think that's certainly smarted a bit at the Giro.
Oh yeah, because he won the Saudi Tour, didn't he? Did he win the overall? Did he? He won at least the stage.
He won at least the stage.
Yeah.
We should.
Let's figure that out. We had someone who did get a little comeback victory was Kjan Utterbrucker at the Tour de Lan, who won the final stage and the overall, and did a big got off his bike, lifted it above his head in a celebration to sort of mark his comeback. He's had a series of health issues and whatnot, and was, I think, nearly hit by a driver the other month as well, and managed to escape from that. I saw like a couple of tweets disparaging him for doing such a celebration at a 2.1 event. But it's like, come on, like,
he's back.
It's also his first pro win, right?
Is it?
Yeah. I think it's his first pro win.
So remember all the hype surrounding him like a year and a half ago, and he made the big transfer and like all this other stuff, and then he basically just disappeared for a while again due to the sort of injuries and illness, and just general health stuff. It's great to see him back. Like he's one of those. He's a rider who, when he's coming up through the sort of junior and even the beginning U23 ranks, everyone was pointing at as like the next big thing, and then he just obviously, as we've said, for various reasons, has not been able to do that. So if he is back, like if he's back on actual form, he will be a name that we talk about next year. No question.
You can only police celebrations for guys on top of the world, right? Like when Roglic
doesn't celebrate.
puts the Garmin off, or Mathieu van der Poel like taps his bike like it's a horse, like then we can have opinions on it. But for a kid who's like come back from probably wondering if he's ever actually going to be able to fulfill his potential, we'll let that slide.
Yeah.
No, we approve of it. Yeah. Celebrate all you want. Celebrate all you want.
The McNulty.
Well, yeah,
with
we've mentioned
your boys.
McNulty already, but McNulty won his first World Tour stage race.
Yes.
At Tour of Poland, which is quite fun. It's also his first win of the year. It's not been his best year, so it's nice to see him back up top. He's not going to the Vuelta though.
Boy. Is he not? Oh, that's a shame. I feel like he'd be a perfect sort of calming presence at the Vuelta in that team.
Yeah, in fact, he and his teammate Isaac Del Toro, who won the Vuelta a Burgos, are angling for a UAE B team to go to the Vuelta, because I'm sure they could do very well.
That would be great. That's a great idea.
Joe Lindsay stole McNulty from the U.S. Postal Service Bald Eagles, so he's not on the U.S. Postal Service Bald Eagles, and so therefore, I can't.
You're not celebrating.
In a week, let's do a pre-Vuelta draft update for what to look for the end of the season.
Kit's winning by 1,000,000 points.
Well, it's Pogačar.
But McNulty denied Ineos Grenadiers Monegasque rider Victor Langolotti, from winning, which is a shame. It's always good to have another nationality up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, some good. These aren't all the biggest bike races, but there's enough of them around that there's always things that pop out of them.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of young riders doing stuff this past week.
Yeah,
like dare we mention Antonio Tiberi, who did very well in Poland, and he's going to the Vuelta.
Ineos Greenpeace Poundlanders. Good old sniper. What happened at Leadville, Kaylee? I'd kind of forgotten that was on, if I'm going to be completely honest. So what happened?
What happened over the weekend? Our own Josh Weinberg was there. Josh was shooting bikes and talking to people and all the rest. And we've got a story up on the site just with the basics and also like 80 great photos from Josh if you want to go sort of scroll through those. Keegan Swenson won on the men's side. That's his 5th win. He is so far and away the best rider in that circuit.
His 5th win at Leadville.
Yeah. He didn't beat his own course record. He missed it by I think like 5 minutes or something like that. But totally washed. Speaking of like getting bored of winning, Keegan's got to be in a similar position as Pogačar, because basically whenever he shows up, he wins. Went super fast. This time was like 5:35 or something like that, which is just that the speed that they do. So they're doing a century, like it's actually 105 miles in 5.5 hours, and it's off road, and the entire thing takes place above 10,000 feet, like roughly 3,000 meters. It is absolutely insane how fast they go. And on the women's side, Kate Courtney, who's former world champ in cross country, and I think broke her wrist about 8-10 weeks ago, and was kind of thinking about coming back to the World Cup scene, but was convinced to sort of focus on Leadville as the way back. And she smashed the women's course record. And for those who are sort of like into the tech side of things for Leadville in particular, did so on flat bars, which the sort of the tech trend at Leadville, particularly in the last couple of years, particularly because Keegan Swenson keeps using them, is to run drop bars on your mountain bike, because it's a very unique event. It has a lot of road in it. Kate Courtney did what I did when I raced Leadville, which is you put your hands on the top of the fork, because the suspension fork kind of comes out, right? So you can put your hands on the top of it and ride around like that.
A bit insane.
It's not super safe, but I think she actually put
UCI
shifters
would be all
down
over
there.
it. Wow.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think she put shifters down there. Anyway, so great to see Kate Courtney back. She struggled with various also health things over the years, last couple of years. I sort of never refound the form that won her a world championship a couple years ago. So good to see her back, and good to see her smash that record. And then, Keegan just doing Keegan things. Basically, Leadville's fun. Leadville at this point to me is mostly fun from all the weird, wacky bikes that people come up with. Just like these bikes that are good for basically no other event other than this one, because it's such a unique course.
So are there no limits on what sort of bike you can use? It's not a
No.
UCI thing, is it?
There's no UCI whatsoever. Yeah.
Great.
You could run anything you want. I'm sure we will see 32ers soon over
Have
there.
we had any aero helmets this year?
Oh, many aero helmets.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
for
Well,
God's sake.
not full on like TT
Yeah,
helmets, but
just an
like
aero.
I would say
road
pretty much
helmet.
all of them are running the aero road helmets that like you see in
Yeah.
like sprint stages of the tour,
Got
for
you.
example. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, because it's fat. Like they're averaging whatever it is, 30 something k an hour, like over all these giant mountains and all the rest. So that's why they run drop bars as well. So yeah, good fun in Leadville. It's part of the Lifetime series. Keegan's now leading that on the men's side. The Lifetime series is I haven't kept super close track of it this year, to be honest. I'm not really sure why. I think the other thing that's worth mentioning with Leadville is the live stream was actually really good. So they've struggled to kind of show these events in any meaningful way. Partly because they're so long. Like Unbound is like 9 hours. Leadville is one of the shorter ones at like 5.5. 5.5 to 7, basically, for the men and women. But they did a really good job of it, and they had like helicopters out. They had like dudes on motos, following like Tour de
Wow.
France style,
Huh.
and it looked to me like they were running a lot of this off of Starlink. Like all the motos had those like Starlink things off the back of them, and so I think that's been the difference in the last year or two versus they trying to run it all off like cell phone signals and stuff like that, and it was just garbage. The commentary was good. There was like good information. They like cut to reporters on the ground. Felt like a real bike race broadcast to the point where like I woke here. So the race starts at like 5:30 in the morning local time or 6 in the morning, something like that. And so I woke up here in Colorado and just sort of flicked it on in the morning like it was a Tour de France stage, and it was great. Just sort of watching the thing unfold. They switched back and forth between the men's and women's races. The men's race by halfway through was already very boring because Keegan just left everybody behind and was doing a solo 50-mile thing. The women's race was like quite tight all the way up Columbine, most of the way up Columbine, and the groups were never that far apart. And yeah, it's really well done. So kudos to the Lifetime folks for putting together, I think, the first good like gravel or mountain bike race live stream I have seen.
Wow.
Well done. Shall we take a break? And when we come back, hear about Kit's adventures at the Fringe. Okay. Let's sashay into a break. Welcome back, everybody. Kit,
Hello.
you went and saw fake Cadell Evans tell his story.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's the Edinburgh Fringe at the moment, which is 3.5, 4 weeks of mayhem in Edinburgh. It's actually one of 6 festivals that run at the same time, not including Oasis being in town, which means that Edinburgh is even more a theme park than it usually is. But yeah, so actually one of our members sent me, made me aware of this show, which I would have come across eventually because they've obviously spent a bit of money on their publicity, got some of the bigger posters around town, of which there are very, very many, because there are something like 4,000 shows on during the month of August, just at the Fringe. But anyway, so yeah, I went along to see Cadell Lungs on Legs. It's 1 hour long. It's a one-man show, although he does have a stagehand who also plays some roles. Like there's a scene where they show Cadell being tested at the Australian Institute of Sport when they establish that he has the lung capacity of an alien, and so she appeared and helped with the kit and equipment changes, of which there are also many, because he's sponsored by BMC and Wahoo, and he's got all sorts of old kit, and it's a very well put together show. I was quite worried, I'll be honest. The Fringe is a strange sort of event, and as anyone who's read my piece from the weekend will have seen, there's a kind of this idea of doing the Fringe properly, you've got to see at least one piece of absolute crap. And so
this wasn't
usually.
that.
No, this wasn't that. So you picture some improv from some hungover students. You're one of 2 people in a room that should seat 50, and there are 3 students on stage wishing they were anywhere else, as you are. But this was certainly not that. I went to the first show, and I think it was at least 2/3 full. I think that's about the emptiest the room has been. It's an 88-seater. I saw it earlier today. So today I think he's about halfway through his run. He's been sold out for the past 4 or 5 days in a row, which is actually it's quite something at the Fringe, and it is genuinely. I went actually with a member. Shout out Ross Wood. He's a pal. So we went along and we came out looking at each other, thinking, was that really, really good? Was that really good for the Fringe, which are 2 wildly different things? But it was really genuinely very good. And I then spoke to the co-writer, performer, and creator Connor Delves, who is a Perth, Australia lad. His parents were also there. His parents ran a very successful franchise, I believe, of bike shops in Perth. So if anyone knows Gary and Vicky Delves, let us know. But yeah, so he's got big aspirations for this show. He hopes to take it to London first, and then Australia at the beginning of next year, and then finish up in New York, which is where he's now based with his acting career, which is taking off.
Does it sort of run through Cadell's life? Like,
yeah,
what
it goes.
we...
So it's framed all within the time trial at the end of the 2011 Tour de France, which is a very. But there we go. It's a very good framework for the show, because the effort was about an hour.
Yeah.
The Cadell's effort was about an hour. There were about 2 minutes at the start when I thought that he was just going to keep pedaling and just kind of, I don't know, try and.
Oh, does he not?
He does do 27k over the course of the hour, which is and considering Cadell did 42.5k.
That's pretty good, yeah.
27k is pretty damn good, yeah. And he's recording it all on Strava.
Amazing.
But yeah, So he starts at the beginning of the time trial, and then he goes back. He plots the various stages of Cadell's life. He goes back to when he was 2 and his family was moving around, and then the horse kick incident, which left him in a coma for a week and changed the shape of his head, which is a story that I'd forgotten about Cadell.
Yeah.
And then when he, the AIS physiology testing, mountain biking, and then charts his course through the Tours de France and the 2007-2008 runner-up, the bit of doping, not with him, but the witnessing doping in others. Okay. And his it puts into context all of that stuff, and it covers an awful lot in an hour, and he covers a lot of the more contentious stuff, like his relationship with the press and the "Don't Touch Me" incident. He covers it very well.
Don't Touch Me incident.
Yep. And that's what the stagehand gets involved there. So he covers it all very, very sensitively, and so that you still are very empathetic by the end. And I tell you what, my audience absolutely loved it. They were really whenever there was a moment that Cadell was winning, the audience was whooping and hollering as if they'd witnessed it happen right there and then. It was great.
So is it like a comedy? Like, what's the?
No, well, I suppose there are funny moments, but no, I think it's in the new theatre strand, I suppose, of the Fringe. He's a serious. Connor is a serious actor, and he's got huge goals for this. He'd really like to. I mean, he doesn't look unlike Cadell, I don't think. He'd really like to play him in a mini series. That's his ultimate goal, I think. But yeah, he's got big aspirations for where he wants to take this show, and I can't remember the last time I met someone quite so driven. It was very interesting talking to him. He was a very passionate guy, and there were moments when I was raising my eyebrows, because cycling and theatre is an odd kind of marriage. It's but it's really well done. I was very impressed. So I've definitely been recommending it to people. And we'll keep an eye on if it makes it to Australia. Yeah, because
it's got to.
I'm sure it will. I'm pretty sure, from what I could gather from our conversation, I think the announcement is the only thing that they're waiting for. London is still a bit iffy, but I get the impression it's basically a done deal.
He needs to come down and play the Tour Down Under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
move.
That's the thing to do. Yeah.
I think that might be. I certainly Gary. When I spoke with Gary Delves, his dad, beforehand, they were certainly talking about the Tour Down Under as if it was on their mind.
Nice. Well, you've got a piece on the site, Kit, all about this, so people should go and read that if they want to know more.
And hear from Connor himself as well. He spoke with me. He's a very good speaker, as you might expect from an actor.
Love it.
I want to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, I probably sound like I'm gushing overly, but I was quite.
Yeah,
I liked it, and I liked him, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Who was
and
in the
what
audience
potentially he adds to it. Oh yeah, Phil Liggett turned up.
Yeah, that's great. He's everywhere,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He gets everywhere. He's so busy. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's. We'll be keeping an eye out for it. That's for sure.
I almost got run over by Cadel Evans in that 2011 TT.
Oh, you would have been in for it.
You should have. You should play
Not
yourself.
on the bike.
Not on the bike. If you go watch it.
Oh,
clearly.
okay.
Yeah. No, I was sitting on the steps at the end of the day. I think sitting next to Hoodie probably, and we were just like tired. It was like it was stage 20 of the tour, right? Wasn't it? We were just tired, grumpy. It's my first Tour de France. And Cadel, surrounded by like 50 press, started walking toward us, and I wasn't really figuring out what was going on. And then all of a sudden, like everyone's walking backwards at me, and I very nearly got trampled. I had to like skedaddle off to the side because this group of people with Cadel right in the middle. I have this very distinct memory of Cadel like in yellow right in the middle of this like 50 reporters, all microphones, and they were doing like the interview as he walked toward us. I think he's maybe heading in for the final press conference or something. Yeah, one of my
Wow.
distinct memories of that Tour de France and my first tour. And anyway, bit of a tangent.
Can
there.
I?
I think
Can
we
I
need to head
trail?
After Dark.
Yeah, I was going to trail what we've got coming up in After Dark.
Yeah.
So we've got to touch on the curious incident of Mikel Landa's massive cake, first of all. But we also had a comment on a recent episode of the podcast on YouTube from Esme Hill, which reads, "Let each team have a section of the mountain," speaking back to Richard Plugger's idea to make capitalism happen on the Tour de France mountain. "Let each team have a section of the mountain and charge €5 for a true team fan experience, and the teams get the euros raised by that money." So I think we should discuss that idea briefly because I like it and I've got thoughts.
All right, let's head into After Dark. Of course, After Dark is the extended version of this very episode you're listening to. You have to get it via the member feed, which means you have to be a member. Head to escapecollective.com/join. Sign yourself up and hear what Johnny has to say about €5 team fan zones on Alpe d'Huez. Let's head to After Dark.